All you people in the US are seriously missing out on the Oppo Enco X3i. Damn, these buds are good. Namaste, we're DHRME, delivering headphone reviews most efficiently.
At about 150 euros, Oppo's nailed a bunch of things on these earbuds, starting with the controls. We usually see squeeze and stroke these days, but Oppo's gone down the touch and stroke route. What? This means if you use gloves, the touch controls won't work, but on the bright side, the touch controls are responsive and you can customize these controls in the app. On an Oppo phone, you'll get all the features in just the Bluetooth settings option, no additional app required. Apple. Curiously, we weren't able to find a game mode option on the Oppo phone. But guess what? Upon further research, Oppo says that ColorOS has end-to-end game mode with some other Oppo Enco models. So we're quite positive that game mode is always on when you're connected to an Oppo phone. No need to turn it on separately. On other phones though, you can download the Hey Melody app and it's simple but feature rich. You'll get a bunch of other features irrespective of your phone.
Like multi-point, so you can stay connected to two devices at the same time. And in the app, you get a device list so you can see which devices you're connected to. There's also a game mode for you gamers out there with 94 milliseconds of latency. There's an in-ear sensor, which will basically pause your audio if you remove a bud from your ear and resume it automatically when you put it in your ear. And there are some ANC related features, so let's talk about ANC. We test the ANC and transparency here on the channel and we rank them. The Oppo Enco X3i came in at tier S, guys. That is top of the line, excellent ANC. It easily kills the low end, including the rumble. Mids and highs are very well suppressed, better than the AirPods Pro 2, and that's saying a lot. In the app, you can change the ANC between high, medium, low, and smart. Smart will actually tell you the level of noise cancelling being applied in real time, so it will adjust it depending on the environmental noise. Even though there's no specific wind reduction mode in the app, it does reduce wind noise automatically. It does, however, suppress a little bit of your environmental noise at the same time though. Then there's transparency. This one came in at tier A. The transparency is quite decent, but not the nothing in your ears experience. There's still suppression across all frequencies, but still quite happy with them.
Now the case is portable and thin and it's easy to put in and take the buds out of the case, and you can kind of see that this is from the same company that does OnePlus, very similar case design to that. The buds are IP55 rated, but that's the buds only. So you're pretty safe for like dusty, wet situations, but be careful with your case. You get two colors, electric blue and the one we have here, meteor gray. They look pretty standard stem style and a bit shiny, so that is up to you if you like that design or not. The buds are also very comfortable to wear for longer periods of time. We wore them for many hours, we had no problem. And you can also wear them for many hours because the battery life is decent. It's advertised at 6.5 hours. It's advertised at 6.5 hours with ANC on, and when we tested it on the AAC codec, we got 6 hours and 42 minutes, so that kind of checks out. Of course, it's going to be much lower if you use the higher res codec, which we'll come to. But from the juice to your
test.
All right, an outdoor mic test on the Oppo Enco X3i with cars in the background. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, icicle, testing, 1, 2, 3. And now softly, pop, pop, popsicle, ice, icicle, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, a windy mic test on the Oppo Enco X3i. Here's the wind meter, here we go. All right, pop, pop, popsicle, ice, icicle, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, icicle, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Despite the slight processing to the voice, you barely heard the cars and you could make out what I was saying quite clearly. And a similar performance in the wind. It cancelled it out quite significantly, but you do need to speak up. Then for the Fakman, you get a couple of controls straight from the buds. You can answer hang-up calls, pretty basic, but you can also adjust volume with those stroke gestures. You can also change the ANC mode you're in while on a call. The only thing you do not get is mute. Now, from the sound of my voice to the sound of the buds, let's get some facts out of the way first. You're getting a 10.4mm woofer and 6mm tweeter in a dual driver setup. The codecs, you get LHDC 5.0, AAC, and SBC. But how do they actually sound?
I have always been a fan of the Oppo sound. From the Oppo Enco X2 days, which was one of my favorite earbuds for like the best part of a year. And considering we review a lot of earbuds, that's saying something. It's got a gorgeous, rich, luscious sound that works for my kind of music, rock and metal, but it also presents very well for pop and jazz. It's got really punchy bass, pristine highs, and everything I loved about the Oppo Enco X2, this has, and it's a bit better. Gone is the harsher peak in the mid to higher treble, and I prefer it to the OnePlus Buds Pro 3 and would absolutely recommend these to everyone except the same issues as the OnePlus. So the Oppo Enco X2 also had LDAC in addition to LHDC, and I was seriously hoping for the same thing with the Oppo Enco X3i. It is a newer version after all, improved, better, all that stuff, right? Unfortunately, you'll only get LHDC as your high-res codec. I like LHDC, but it usually only works on, Chinese phones like Oppo, Realme, OnePlus, Nothing, etc. But on other phones like Samsung and Google phones, and of course iPhones, you're going to default to AAC, which is a lower res codec. And how do these sound on AAC? Well, pretty damn good. There are some startling volume jumps though on my Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, while on the Oppo Find X8 Pro, the volume ramp is nice and smooth. And there's tons of customization for these earbuds. The Golden Sound hearing test has an automatic canal scan as well as a manual hearing test. You get 4 EQ presets, and this is another downside, no custom EQ on these earbuds. You get a bass wave slider, and we've covered this before. It's a nice way to add bass to your music if you don't want to mess around with any other EQ. You also get Alive audio, and this is Oppo's interpretation of spatial audio, and I really like it because it's much more subtle than many cheaper offerings you'll find trying to do too much. The music doesn't sound horrible, and you do get more of a sense of space. So I'm also kind of okay using it for music. There is no head tracking, and to be honest, I think that's a pretty useless feature on earbuds that are not being used for VR. So for sound, these check a lot of boxes for us, but unfortunately not all of them.
Continuing with boxes, there are only 3 sizes of silicone tips included in the box, which is kind of below average since most buds include 4 tips now. The fit is alright, better than the OnePlus Buds Pro 3, but it ain't the best and still does fall out for me with more intense movements. Whereas for Rowan, they were better than the Enco X2. Then there's no wireless charging here, guys, so you're stuck to old Type-C charging. There's also no custom EQ like we mentioned, and then there's the issue of availability that we talked about in the introduction. It is just not available in the US. Officially. That was it. No other negatives we could come up with. And that's why it feels like we've reached peak wireless buds, to be honest. We said a few months ago that you didn't need to spend more than $99 to get good wireless earbuds. And to be honest, we don't see why you should spend more than $150 to get excellent ones as well. There are so many great buds in this range. Huawei, Nothing, OnePlus, Cambridge, Soundcore. There's just a ton of choice.
Absolutely, Kevin. There's no margin for error in earbuds, and we've actually started covering laptops, tablets, phones, and VR gear on a second channel called DHRME Live that includes the Oppo Find X8 if you want to check out what we think of that. So subscribe here but also there and help us reach 1,000 subs there. So no surprise here, guys. All in all, for 150 euros, the Oppo Enco X3i gives you very little to complain about. You're getting excellent sound, ANC, battery life, and a solid IP55 rating. You get a ton of extra features like a wear sensor, multi-point, an app, and responsive touch controls. Great sound. The only things we could nitpick are that there's no wireless charging, no custom EQ, no LDAC, only LHDC as the high-res codec, and the limited sizes of tips in the box with a mediocre secureness of fit. But these are definitely a go from us. But don't go yet. We still need to tell you our disclosures. We received these buds from Oppo, but this is an entirely independent review. Oppo is seeing this video at the same time as you are. Our independence is made possible thanks to all you lovely people who are subscribed to us. We truly appreciate you all. And extra thanks to those who financially support us on Patreon and YouTube on the Popsicle, Icicle, and these tested tier folks. But we would be remiss if we didn't thank Paula and Gamma Panda, our Fuckman tier supporters. Thank you so much. The land of opportunity has been missing out on the opportunity, and we've been DHRME. Dui.